You called Rwanda a low trust, traumatized society. What did you mean by that?
If we stay together, for example, in a hotel or in a bar, and if I give you a kind of a bottle, although you are my friend, but you cannot left behind your bottle, you still taking it. But why?
Because I think you might poison me.
We have more than 20% of people in Rwanda, in the young generation, who never been here during the genocide, who were born after the genocide, but suffering from the post-traumatic experiences of their parents.
How does that work? How is that possible?
When you are a traumatized parent, you are more likely to transmit. How do you transmit? You abuse your children unknowingly.
And even knowingly sometimes.
All knowing. Nowadays, many women, when they want to cry, they hide themselves in a room or in a cask on bike, because they told me, I always go to work and I don't have a room to cry. And when I cry, I feel released. So I cry on
the motor.
Yes, on the motor, in the cask.
Yes.
So when they reach the destination at their work, they clean their tears, they start the job, and that's it. Now we have a debate in science. One debate is probably men do not want to report. For example, if I come to you, although we are friends, and I ask you, are you suffering from post-traumatic stress?
I would say no, of course not.
Yeah, because you are a man.
Yeah. I can't show you my weakness.
Yes. Marriage is romanticized. It's idealized. But the truth is, man and woman have the same expectations. Then when they arrive in their couple's life, everybody wait another to act. Why men are not able to wash their children? Because even women did not do any internship for washing babies before marriage. Do you know how many young people are beggars? You see a young girl with a smartphone of 1.6 million. Who give that smartphone?
Sugar daddy.
And this is begging. I found that we are not only transmitting trauma,
we are also
transmitting resilience. So this is a very promising findings that we can build on.
As Rwanda.
Rwandan.
This is the very, very best. I introduce the very, very next. Big deal, you know this is the big league. Sanga mumihanda ya Kigali, make a big fish. Word on the street turakaze. Habari gani, mumeze mte. Yutse nshimi mana kuva honda muchiye. If you want the long form, come close murabure. Wait, what?
The long form.
What did he say?
The long form.
What?
The long form.
The long form. The long form. Hello there. My guest this week on the Long Form podcast is Dr. Celestin Mutuyimana. A clinical psychologist and psychotherapist, Dr. Celestin is not only a senior scientist at the University of Zurich, he is the founder of Baho Smile Institute, a psychotherapeutic and research center found here in Kigali to fight the intergenerational cycle of trauma. In this conversation, we shall discuss why mental health issues are seemingly skyrocketing among young people, the breakdown of marriages, as well as the rampant challenge of alcohol and drug abuse. I shall be seeking to understand what exactly is happening, why it is happening, and what we need to do as Rwandans to heal not only ourselves, but also the people we love. Dr. Celestin.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Long Form podcast.
Thank you very much for your invitation.
It's amazing. Obviously, there's... when we met last week,
Yes.
You said something to me and it resonated with me. It left me with a lot of questions. You called Rwanda a low trust, traumatized society. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, this is a very good question. um, it means that many people in our countries, even today, there is lower confidence in person. Myself, the trust in myself is not really higher, but also the trust of others. When we are working together, you do not believe in me that I can really support you in any services. Or if yes, I support you, there is a hidden agenda. If we stay together, for example, in a hotel or in a bar, and if I give you a kind of a bottle, although you are my friend, but you cannot left behind your bottle, you still taking it. But why?
Because I think you might poison me.
Of course. And why you are my friend, but I think you can poison myself. It's because of the history, the traumatic experiences, the historical trauma, where people have been the enemy, the person who betrayed you was your friend,
Or even your family.
or even your family, or even your neighbor. And this was happening to our ancestors, to our grandparents, and to today. So as the new generations, people are thinking they can be betrayed again with a friend. Nobody to trust.
Is there any country that is a high trust society?
Yes, I will say I will not be very much specific with any country, but in non-traumatized communities where there is lower rates of traumatic experiences. When I talk of traumatic experiences, like most of the time killings, traumatic within families, traumatic within a community, traumatic exposure within communities. So people are mostly trustworthy. And also the contact, because in collectivistic communities, trust can be really low when there is a traumatic exposure or betrayal before. But in individualistic communities, trust is higher because they do not meet each other in many times. But here, we are in the celebration, we are in a meeting, we are in a family gathering, we are outside. It's not the same like in individualistic communities like Western countries. And so with this style of life, of individualistic communities and style of life with collectivistic communities, people who live together like in Rwanda. So the trust is, the mistrust tend to be higher, but the trust tend to be very low.
Help me understand. Okay, you try to avoid countries, but I'm going to
Yes.
talk about them. I understand why, for example, you'd say that Rwanda is traumatized because of obviously the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, the issues post-independence, even pre-independence, because of Belgian colonial rule. But our experience, I think, of trauma is not only ours. If you go to Burundi, same. If you go to Uganda, they went through civil war, they went through political upheavals.
Yeah.
Congo, the same.
Yeah.
Is our trauma special in any way?
I would say yes or no. Yes, why? Because we have higher prevalence of mental disorder if we compare to other countries like in East Africa, a slightly higher. But the study we did with historical trauma, that means unresolved grief experiences within people and within generation, we find that all those countries of East Africa, they suffer the same. Because you can know, although here we have very unhuman genocide against Tutsi, but also in neighboring countries like in Kenya, there are always some different tribalism, there is terrorism, there is a manifestation which kills a lot of people. So also the trust of people is similarly the same like here, although because of such kind of traumatic experiences. In Uganda, there have been wars in 90,
80s.
1980,
Yeah,
80s.
yeah.
There have been wars. In Burundi, there is always war. So the case of our context in East Africa, generally, we find that 90 million, over 90 million of people, unfortunately, are suffering from the post-traumatic sequelae. And among those
Post-traumatic what?
consequences, post-traumatic stress disorders, and among the consequences of of traumatic experiences include a higher level of mistrust. And then the mistrust is also impactful because you are not also going to look for support or for help. This is what I told you, internal mistrust. You think, when I go there, who will help me? Because they are always suffering. They do not have enough support. So I have to stay quiet with our culture that I told you, to stay silent. But it's also a type of mistrust.
I guess what you're talking about is societal trauma. Now, I'm going to ask you maybe a question that is not easy to answer. It's there's a Kinyarwanda saying that it's easy to destroy, but it's very hard to build.
Yeah.
So our societies are broken because of trauma and mistrust. Is it possible to create out of that broken society a society that is trustful and untraumatized?
Yes, thank you. This is a very nice question. To help rebuilding, and there is a lot of initiative that is being done right now, but rebuilding a community which have been destroyed require to stop the cycle of trauma first. That means we do not need other exposure. And again, what is needed again? It's to help those who are suffering to not split to new generation. Because if you split your burden to a new generation,
It never stops.
It never stops. And now, as I told you, you know, we have more than 20% of people in Rwanda, in the young generation, who never been here during the genocide, who were born after the genocide, but suffering from the post-traumatic experiences of their parents.
How does that work? How is that possible?
It's possible through different mechanisms.
Is it genetic? Is it a child is born, comes out of the mother's womb, and because the mom was a survivor, that they are born, even before anything happens to them, they're born with something different in their DNA?
Yes, there is some studies on genetics, which I'm not experienced, but I will talk about like epigenetics, which means there are some changes, mutations on the chromosomes, which might happen. But mostly there is psychosocial and a cultural way of transmission of trauma. Well, what does it mean? It means parenting style. When I am a traumatized parent, we have traumatized parents. We have raised by traumatized parents. And recently I was in a meeting with younger generations who were born after the genocide. And they were telling me, you know, when we meet with our parents, we do not have the question to ask because they are not able to respond. Or they hide their reality. They say, we do not want to burden you in the future, but we interpret ourselves what is going on for them, because we see them suffering.
So what you're saying is the children want to ask their parents something.
Yes.
The parents say, you know what, I'm not going to tell you what I went through or saw because I don't want to burden you with that. But then the child then imagine
what is happening.
What is happening with the parent, because the child can sense that things are not going proper.
Yeah, generally what I was telling is the mechanism of transmissions, parenting. When you are a traumatized parent, you are more likely to transmit. How do you transmit? You abuse your children unknowingly.
And even knowingly sometimes.
All knowing, yeah, sometimes, because knowingly or unknowingly, you can abuse your children. And if you abuse because you have the symptoms in your mind, you are not able to manage, and you do not look for help, and then you have somebody you control is your child, and you abuse. And the abuse is not only beating, but the bad words, the negligence, the rejections, and so on. So this is a parenting system. And then another parenting system is the attachment. For example, I have one of my clients who was really young, 25 years. And she was struggling with not sleeping. And she failed a lot at school. And she thought, I feel bitterness inside myself. And she had my contact, and she called me. She said, probably I have a problem, I need help. And then when we talked to cut it down, when we talked, she told me, I stayed alone with my parent. And my parent was unable to communicate her problem, which was strongly very traumatic history, including violence. And he used to talk to me only. Imagine if you are a parent, your neighbors are your perpetrator, and you live with a very young child. You do not have any person to share. So you share everything with her. And this is a parent, a child who is made like a parent, an adult. The child has no capacity to carry all those burdens.
Yeah.
But then a parent also has no options. She has to talk to the child because it's the only one person. So this is the attachment process. You are very attached and you do not have a way out. You cannot tell to anybody that my dad or my mom is telling me so heavy things. So you are suffering from this. This is the attachment. But there is also the environment.
Wait, but before,
Yeah.
how did you, so that before we move, how did you treat that case?
Yeah, the treatment first is you treat individual person, like helping the person to process what he suffered, he or she went through, because at that time there were no processing, and she was not able to talk to anybody. So to talk first with a therapist, this helps the processing. But the second step is to redefine life, because for the now she's like a trauma survivor. We call it secondary traumatic exposure. Then redefining life means you are not a victim, although you have been exposed, but you have to know you are not a victim. So we build together a victorhood plan to overcome those traumatic experiences. Another thing is we call upon the family, because the first thing we need to treat the root cause. I mean, the parents. We talk to parents. We tell them what is going on, what is the child is suffering, and then we treat both parents and the children. So
how easy was it to? One of the things that I think as Rwandans,
yeah,
we don't like to admit our weakness,
yeah,
and secondly, we don't want to have people in our lives, in
Yeah.
our business, as
No,
the
of
young
course.
people say. I'm interested in how you were able to get the girl's parents to agree to come and also get a level of treatment?
Yeah, first of all, it's the trust, the therapeutic alliance. When a person have, what we need to discuss first is to discuss it with the present client. If she or he accept to contact the family, this is much fantastic. But again, because we have to talk to the client, do you accept? Are you ready that we call upon your family here to a session? And if the patient is not ready, we should not call. We have to prepare for the readiness. And we show the patient the necessity of calling the parents. This is the first step. And the second step, we call ourselves the parents. We explain what is going on and why their children are suffering. And then we try to, as you said, it's not easy for people to come to the therapy. But when it's about the children, Rwandese are at 90% protective for their children, especially those who went through traumatic exposure. They have, and this is also a big problem, they have a high expectation in them. They
their
don't
children
of
or-
their children, and this is also it's not even a little bit; it's a big problem because now children have a higher in their parents. They have higher expectation. They think they have to maybe to be everybody at the very standard way, stars,
Superman, superwomen.
Superman, superwoman, successful. If you are the last in the class, this is not tolerable because you have to be the first, and you know every class has
The
last
first and the
person.
last.
So when I come back, when it's for the children, they don't want to perish. And when you talk to them that you are helping their children, they come easily.
So you were, before I interrupted you and got you
Yep.
to talk, you were about to say there's a third thing that happens.
Yes, I don't know, but I would like also to talk about types of parents in this attachment process because
Please.
I was talking about the way of transmission, what one I told parenting, the way, the attitude, the behaviors, the contact, the interaction, the communication with the parents. That's transmit.
Yes.
And if you are a parent who will follow us, please try. And second is this type of attachment. And we find in research we did, we find 4 categories in Rwandan's community of parents. Some parents are silent.
What do you mean silent? They
Silent, they don't want to talk anything.
don't- about anything. They don't
No.
want to talk about trauma.
Trauma, what they went through, that's it for them. They don't want their children to be exposed.
Yes.
But this is too bad. Because as we talked, the children try to imagine what happened. And this is a very burden because the processes, the mental processes, is harder when there is no explanation. But is easily when there is explanation. So this is the first class. The second type of parents, they are hesitant.
Hesitant.
They are like, we talk but a little bit of it.
Or maybe they will show the less traumatic things. and
Yes.
They'll pick and choose what they give
Yeah,
you.
they say, oh, this was, you have to know what we suffered is normal. It's kind of normalizing everything because they do not want to touch what is the reality, but you have to know. Children think, children reason, children interact with other people. So they say, yeah, I know my parent is hesitant to tell me what can happen. So, and this is the second group of parents.
What's the third one?
The third one is the disclosure then.
The what?
Disclosure.
The disclosure.
They talk
They'd say everything.
everything. And many times also in a very harsh way. Because they want their parents, their children, they want their children really to know what happened and to fight back against what, and to protect from themselves. But this is also very, very bad for the children.
What's the fourth one?
The fourth ones, they are those who are able to know which times, at which level of children, if you are younger children, if you are an adult, if you are, and then they try to talk the reality, but which is at the level of the children. So this is helpful. And those parents also seek for help. They ask professional support for very hard questions, because sometimes children have very hard questions. And I would say some parents use, because they will follow us. They may say, they may tell to children, I would tell you if it will be 5 years, and this is bad answer.
Really?
Yes.
Not, I will tell you when you become 16.
Yes, this is very bad answer.
Why?
Because the children will continue to keep in mind. And then when you keep in mind, you have cognitive problem, and emotional regression can follow.
Why?
Emotional regression, that means I wait for something which is, I have a burden. Let's think I have a burden on my head. And you told me, I will leave your burden when you will be 16. Are you doing good things to me?
No,
Yes.
not at all.
You should leave the burden now. And if you don't know how to do it, please ask help. But don't say, because this is a very big, because when a child is asking a question, it's because he has a burden in the mind. So try to do so. I have an example of a child who asks, what is a genocide? And what is a genocide for children of 5 years? But a genocide, you have to give an answer which is really a child can understand. A genocide, what is a genocide, for example? It's when people are killing innocent, and those innocent does not reply to the perpetrators, and this is a genocide. This is, for example, an answer for a children of 5 years. After 5 years, he will know better. He will understand what is. But at least now we maintain this innocence. And then at the end, you have to teach them, never do the same. Innocent person should stay innocent. And you have to protect innocent people as you are. Yeah.
You know, researching for this conversation, I read a 2022 report that said that between 15 to 53% of all Rwandans suffer from depression. And when I read that, it seemed too high. It seemed impossible. Was the report wrong, or is that actually the case?
Not at all. It's more than this.
What do you mean?
It's
more than what?
More than what you lead into 2020, because the recent research I did with my colleagues, we find 40%.
40%?
Yes, that means if you are 10 in a room.
10, wait.
Yeah.
Not here I'm not talking about maybe perpetrators or victims of the Rwandan, the genocide against the Tutsi. I'm not meaning maybe someone who went through war. Just normal people, 10 people in the market. 40,
four
of them are depressed.
Are more likely, because this is not a clinical. We use are more likely.
40%.
40% of.
Is that normal?
It's understandable. I will not say normal, but it's understandable. It's understandable when you look at what we pass through, and when you look at afterwards living condition, critical living conditions, and when you look at globalizations and to quick modernity. So these are the factors. And with this research we find that unemployment, the unemployment is associated with high level of depression, which means, and the question was, is unemployment causing depression, or is depression causing unemployment? So
what did you find?
What we find, we did not really well defined, but those in research, those two explanations are possible. For our fellows, we have to know, if you are depressed, you have hopeless and helpless.
You're hopeless and helpless.
And helpless. And for you, you do not need to work because tomorrow does not exist.
Or it does not matter.
Does not matter. And you want the thing is, what at least if you need to continue life for at least a short moment, what you have today, if you are able to eat, you can eat. That's it. But then you are not interested to look for the opportunities. The only thing you have in mind for the helplessness, which is really higher in our young generation, helplessness.
They feel powerless.
Powerless. They think, I talked with one of my colleagues, and he told me, and he's young, when you earn 300,000 a month, you can't do anything unless eating, drinking, because nothing can come through these 300,000.
So you can't buy a house, you can't
No.
buy land, you can't
No.
invest, you can't save.
And this is helplessness. So and there is other people with these types of depression symptoms, and when you are highly you have a tendency to be depressed, there is no chance that you chase for the opportunity. So today, if you are unemployed, and you have to think about your psyche and to see if there is nothing that needs to be changed in seeking the world in another way and healing from your past traumatic experiences, and just look for little opportunities that is around you. Otherwise, you perish. You perish by saying, okay, I see, I will not achieve anything. People are getting rich, I'm poor, and I will remain poor. But you don't know what is going on. It's because of your mental health issue.
So you've identified the issues of, obviously, conflict and the results of that. You've talked about the lack of jobs as drivers of depression. But when I look at, say, the African continent,
Yeah.
those two things are not they're usual, right? There are very few African countries that have not done some level of conflict, or there are very few African countries that have a good rate of employment, especially in young people.
Yeah.
Why are the numbers so high here? Is it just because of our past? Or is there something in terms of what is driving our depression that is maybe intrinsic to us as Rwandans?
No, we don't have an intrinsic. We are we are human beings like others. We don't have an intrinsic mechanisms of depressions, but the problem is when you pass through huge traumatic experiences like genocide and war. This is what I call death come in your life. Because can you imagine if I meet with trauma survivors and they told me some story that I don't want to say now, but can you imagine if you had the five children and all of them were killed, and you do not have today enough resources, for example, or you are struggling for your mental health issues? Can you imagine at which level the depression will affect you? And then, as I told you, when you are depressed, you are more likely also to transmit. I did research on transmission of depression, and we find in Rwanda also there is a transmission of depression. So this is one thing. The second thing.
So wait, are you saying, so for example, if the parent is depressed,
the
child
child
will
is
be
more
depressed.
more likely also to be depressed.
but now we have a problem.
The second is the conflict.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
So we have a problem,
Yeah.
right? if you look at literally, if you think about our entire history as a Rwandan nation,
Yeah.
so where I'm talking up to the 1500s,
Yeah.
never has there not been almost conflict. We've during the days of the Abami, there was
Yeah.
conflict. There was
Of kings and
kings. There was murder and rape and all those bad things.
yeah.
There was forced displacement.
Yeah.
There was suffering in foreign lands.
Yeah.
How is it possible?
Yeah.
So literally, even if I think about even my own parent, the
Yeah.
things that they went through,
Yeah.
they would probably be. I wouldn't be surprised to find that they're dealing with depression at some level
Yeah.
as well. How is it possible that actually, looking at that, I think the 40% might even be low, because literally I cannot think of any one person, any
Yeah.
parent,
Yeah.
whether they stayed in Rwanda, whether they left Rwanda, whether they survived, whether they were in Congo. Everyone went through something.
Yeah. This is what is called collective, cumulative, repetitive,
Jesus.
traumatic exposure. And in Kinyarwanda we say urushyize kera ruhinyuza intwari, which means when you go through a lot of hardships, you end up by suffering. Although you were resilient, although you were resistant, but when it's repetitive, it's cumulative, it's corrective. Because previously, traumatic exposure, those were not corrective. But now, if you meet with people here in our country and you ask everybody to
Tell you the truth.
he will tell you that he or she lost. She has or he has some unresolved grief.
Yes.
So because it was,
And that's everyone.
that's almost.
I don't think there's, maybe the children, maybe the young children.
Yeah, now we were in a recently in a conference, and the young people were saying how hard is to grieve somebody you don't know. And one young girl told us, my mom lost her uncle, and when she talked about her story, I thought is brown. But unfortunately, when I see his picture, he's black.
He's that.
He's dark. And then she said, I was a little bit, not a little bit, very much disappointed. And I feel again the grief, because the person I imagined is not the person I have seen. And then another one told us, when I am suffering, I cannot ask to my parent to help me. Do you get what I mean? You are a child. You are suffering of a grief, a disappointment, something else. But when you see your parents, your parents had a lot of things.
You know what I call them? I call it the pain Olympics.
Okay.
You see, there's people who have the gold medal.
Yeah.
Then there's silver medal.
Yeah.
Then there's bronze.
A bronze.
And then the ones who have a bronze medal don't want to talk about their pain because they know.
Yeah. This is so you can imagine, if you are a child, the first person to consult is a parent.
And you know that they
And
saw things.
So how this is what I told you, the depressions. Then the child is more likely vulnerable because of lack of protective factors. So this is why I ask the parents, if they have young people, if they have children, they always need to ask, how do you feel? At least after school, how do you feel? What is the problem? Is everything okay?
Won't that create weakness? Because one of the things that among the first words I learned in Kinyarwanda when I was ihangane,
Yeah,
take the pain,
yeah,
move on, and move forward.
yes,
When someone might say that, when you ask someone to deal with their feelings,
yeah,
then the feelings never leave and they are
yes,
not able to move forward.
yeah.
Is that not the case?
I mean, I would say in the recent research we did to see how cultural values affect our way of expression of our sufferings and our healing, we find that the culture of silence is leading cause, not cause, risk factor, is a leading risk factor of sustaining our sufferings. You know, in Kinyarwanda, they say a noble walks on wounds.
How do you say it in Kinyarwanda?
Imfura ishinjagira ishira.
Eh,
That means if you are a noble and you
ulimfura.
have a wound,
You pretend that you don't have it.
you have to walk on it like you pretend. So that what does it mean? It has a slightly very good message that convey, because at aftermath, the electric aftermath, this can help you because it helps you to not be
Stuck in that
stuck in that place. But then afterwards, this is dangerous because if you continue to walk on the wound will be infected. And if the wound is infected, there is a septicemia. And when there is a septicemia, it's a death. And so we see many people walking for so long on their wounds. So, and then they teach directly or indirectly to their children to also
Walk on their wounds.
walk on their wounds. So it's time to tell people, please, we need to see your wounds. We need to clean them, and then they will be healed, and you walk normally. There is a possibility to walk normally.
Mental disorders
Yeah.
are more prevalent in women than men here in Rwanda,
Yeah.
with the biggest issues being reported being major depressive episodes, panic disorder, and PTSD. Why are women more likely to suffer from these mental disorders? Is it a physiological issue or is it a cultural issue?
Both. It's not even in Rwanda. Generally, women's they are more vulnerable to mental health
Why?
issues.
Why?
Now we have a debate in science. One debate is probably men do not want to report.
So it's a reporting issue.
Yes, it might be a reporting issue. And then because women are open more than men, even in our culture, when you are conducting studies, you will see the participants are women more women than men. And then when you are asking for sensitive things, for example, if I come to you, although we are friends, and I ask you, are you suffering from post-traumatic stress?
I would say no, of course
Yeah,
not.
yeah, because you are a man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't show you my weakness.
Yes. And this is the problem. Might be this, but and then emotional regulations is another scientific concept which says their emotions is going to access. You can access easily the emotions of women than men.
Is that why, in my experience,
Yeah.
it's far easier for a woman to cry
Yes.
than a man?
Than a
Is
man.
it because they're able to access those emotions?
Yes, and but also the culture, as you said, culture play a very great role. For example, if I cry in public, and if a woman cry in the public, the interpretations will not be the same. People will say, "Oh, that guy is crying. This is crazy." But for a woman, It's tolerable. A woman can cry even in public.
In fact, it's actually interesting.
Yeah.
If you see the one, it's about also tolerable, but it's also if I see a man crying, it's actually shocking, and it will make me even
Yes.
really actually see
Ah,
it
all
more
right.
than a woman.
Yeah.
I'll act. It will make me alert, because then I'll think to myself, this man is really suffering.
Yeah, but again, does not be, it's like you are used to see women crying. But their tears means a lot. I meet with many women in therapy, and now I am advocating for them. They take it like a way of having a rest of mind. But crying means I have something that I cannot talk about, that I do not have a solution.
I don't have the words for.
I have not unspeakable, but at least I can cry.
I can let the emotions
The
out.
emotions out. And the cries is not because, and nowadays, many women, when they want to cry, they hide yourself, they hide themselves in a room or in a cask on bike, because they told me, you know, I always go to work and I don't have a room to cry. And when I cry, I feel released. So I cry
On the moto.
yes, on the motor, in the cask.
Yes.
So when they reach the destination at their work, they clean their tears, they start their job, and that's it.
What are Rwandan women going through to that is causing so much pain?
As I said, even it's a disappointment. It's there is this relationship disappointment stress syndrome. It does not really affect only women, but most of them, as we said, these are those who are able. The women are able to talk about their sufferings. You know, our experiences, not even only in Rwanda, but in all other East Africans and post-war zones, people have passed through sufferings from childhood, during the school,
After school.
after school, at work, and they think they at least they will get release, comfort, healed after marriage. And also our culture is promoting the marriage.
I guess because in our culture, marriage and maybe even the subsequent birth of a child
Yes.
should be the epitome of happiness.
Yes, this is they told you. And when you are in a bridal shower, for example, they told, oh, everything will be nice. Go there. Husband will support you. You will be rich. The marriage is romanticized. It's idealized. But the truth is, man and woman have the same expectations. Then when they arrive in their couple's life, everybody wait another to act. I wait to take off my shoes, and you wait as a woman that I care about you, I cherish, I carry you. But everybody wait until does not receive a good answer. And this is a disappointment. So very many women in our days in Rwanda, they are very much suffering from stress coming to disappointment of
Relationship disappointment, stress.
relationship disappointment stress.
What? I guess is that a Rwandan phenomenon? Because I feel I've been married since 2016.
Yeah.
So it's going to be 9 years,
Yeah.
close to a decade. And you said something that was really interesting, which was expectations from both sides. yeah, it's funny because,
Did you have?
of course, of course, I because you're trained to think that this is what marriage is.
Yes.
No, but then no one really tells you what marriage is.
Yeah.
You just pick up, you know, signalers from different people,
Yeah.
and then you you might even be dating this person. You've been fiancés for many years.
Yes. Yes.
You know this person. For example, you say that this person, this man, goes out every day with his friends.
Yeah.
You met him
Yeah.
every day going out with his friends.
Yeah.
You dated him every day. He would go out with his friends, have 2 beers, go home.
Yeah.
You became fiancéed. Every day he would go out with his friends, have 2 beers, and then go home.
Yeah.
Now, magically, you think that now that you've done the gusaba, you've gone through the
Dowry.
church,
Yeah.
somehow magically, this man is now going to go straight from work to home. Because now, abaye umugabo.
Yeah. He's becoming a man.
He has become my husband. And
Yeah.
I expect this from him.
Yeah.
The worst thing I think is I've had these discussions with friends is that very often I feel that women actually enter marriage with a bit more tools than men do.
Definitely. You know, for example, you are very right. For example, when you have your firstborn, who washed your firstborn first time?
It was the mom.
Okay, you are lucky because you have mom. But those who do not have mom,
It's the
and
women.
dad, it's the women. But why men are not able to wash their children?
No one
Because
taught us.
even women did not do any internship for washing babies before marriage. He never been she does not have any child before. So you are both partnering to have children and you have no knowledge, but then all responsibilities you put it to
The
woman.
mother, yes.
And you can imagine there is when we talk about depression, postpartum depression. Imagine you are a woman, you have been operated, for example, and you know at the end of the pregnancy period, women does not really sleep. Because you have children.
Yes.
They do not sleep, and then when they give birth, they have been operated. There is a wound, and the wound is really painful, and there is breast. You know, when it's the firstborn, for example, even the second, even the third, the breast, they have some painful. We have painful in the breast, and the breastfeeding is a problem. So the child is crying a lot in your brain, and you are very much tired and you have pain, but also your husband is not there. He's going to cabaret to the
have a
bar
drink with his
to have a
friends.
drink with the friends, and you stay at home alone. You are confused, you don't know what to do, you are suffering, you have to do everything for the child, and you are not even able to eat. But your husband is not there. And nobody, when some people ask a woman after giving birth, they ask, how is the child? No, very few people ask, how are you? Yeah, then after birth, a woman is like, okay, the thing have been done. Nobody need to follow up. But this is the time to follow up. And they don't have even time to cut their nails. They do not have time to comb their hairs. They do not have time to put the colors on their nails. And this is very women. So when they see their picture, even their physiological, their physical bodies have been changed. And when they look in the mirror, they find they are strange people. This is why. And the person who can support by the first level is the husband. And I had a client who has depression postpartum. Do you know why? Because every time she went to the hospital, she was operated. But the person who signed every time was a neighbor. Because before the operation,
For consent.
yeah, a consent. You need to sign a consent, but never been signed by a husband.
Ish.
And husband come afterwards, after 3 days in the hospital. You can imagine. So this is what women pass through.
And-
of course, the men has their own problems. Of course.
But and back to you've really broken down, for example, what women are going through, new mothers. Is there in how can we as husbands best support new mothers in that space
Yeah.
to give them the means so that if there is any kind of issue, depression, you can be helpful. But there's also a second bit.
Yeah.
And, back to what I call the pain Olympics.
Yeah. With the state.
Yes. You see, I say that moms have double gold pain, but men too, even husbands as well. They're going through a new time.
Anytime, yeah.
And sometimes I feel, and maybe I'm wrong, is that there's very little support for husbands as well. So, and they internalize these things. Is there a healthy way? Because I think it's because, of course, the person who is having gold medal pain, is the woman. So even if you're a good husband, you're taught, okay, how do I deal with this new mom?
Yeah.
And how do I support her?
Yeah.
But there's very little conversation around even the husband. How do we support him going through this new step? Because as you said, there's also this new life as well, this new reality.
Yeah.
The things that he used to do, he cannot do it anymore.
Yeah.
The woman that he thought he married
Yeah.
is no longer the same woman. There's a lot of changes in the household. And how do we also equip, how should men be equipped to deal with those changes?
Yeah. The men, as you said, they have their own challenges. And entering first, they are said in our culture as the head. They are called head of household. And it's the first time to be a head and to lead each and everything. And when the things are not going well, the responsibility are on man than on women, which I do not accept. I think people should partner, like on the same level. But again, when I come back to your questions, it's really important now to have prenuptial consultations.
So before the baby comes, have a sit down
Yes.
with an expert.
Yes, they have
talk.
to sit to talk and to know, to explain what is going to happen to them and to take responsibility beforehand. Not really to do magic things, or because men are confused, and when they are confused, they escape. They do not want to be judged like confused people. They escape.
They run away.
They run away. This is why when they think maybe my wife can die in the hospital, so he want to go in bar and reason afterwards what happened if it's positive. For a woman, she can interpret like rejection, which is correct. But again, sometimes it's a confusion and fear of what is going to happen. And then I can avoid.
And it manifests by fleeing.
Yes, by freeing and avoid. And then always it's like misinterpretations of both partners. This is why when I talk with the couples, I try to tell them, try to understand each other empathetically. Have an empathy. Although you said he or she did mistakes, but each types of behavior has a reason. So before you react, before you act, you have first to know what is a reason. Let's give you an example. I had a couples, one woman. She never been. She got always she gave birth at King Faisal Hospital. You see, it's a very good hospital, and she expected to be accompanied by her husband because she's also a very talented woman with a very good job, and she wanted this accompaniment of the husband around, but she never until the third the third birth, and then
So he wasn't there for the first birth, the
the
second
second
birth.
birth, the third birth, he was not there. And then when I asked, can you please, she came to look at me in the consultation and we met.
What was she saying was the problem? Was it a mental? Was it what had happened to her?
She had a post-traumatic, postpartum depression symptoms. And she said, oh, this is enough. I am never supported. And when I come back at home, my husband is always in the bar.
Can I ask you a question before you
Yeah.
continue?
Yeah.
You've talked about postpartum
Depression.
How does it Okay, so postpartum is after the
After the birth. It's a depression. It's automatically the symptoms of depression just that happen after death. After birth,
Yes.
they are connected to birth, and the parents is suffering. A mother is suffering of this depression because of the circumstances around child birth.
And does it does it happen immediately the baby comes into the world, like immediately, or are there triggers? Does it happen on the first week, on the second week? How does it manifest? What are the symptoms?
They are, some of them they are immediately after. They are, even when it's complicated, some parents wanted to kill even their children
Oh my goodness.
because they find no meaning of having such kind of bullshit child, which and others, they manifest the symptom just a few weeks after. And some triggers is the lack of supporting environment. This is the main thing. If you have, and it's not just in the period during the period of giving birth, even before, because a mother is thinking about what's happened, even at the beginning of the first period of pregnancies until giving birth. So she continued to be patient, and then until giving birth, the situation is complicated. So the aggravations of the symptoms increases. Is the symptom of depression like hopeless, like having suicide ideas, like feeling like feeling of worthlessness, and just to stop the life. I don't want to live again. Why do I need to have this life, which is the life full of sufferances? So, and why do I need to continue to be in a partnership relationship while I'm not supported? Why do I need to have children while having children is always a burden for me? So these are the symptoms you can see, and you can observe by the mood of the mother. It completely changed. She does not want to eat. She does not want to cooperate. She does not want to breastfeed the kids. The mother is exhausted by the situation that happened since the pregnancy until the period of giving birth. Is type of exhaustion.
Is it, I have two sons,
Yeah.
And I don't think, you talked about the pressure to be a mom and being supported.
Yeah.
I don't, is there, because of how hard being a mom is it even possible for a mom to be supported? Because the reason I ask this
Yeah.
is because, again, there are different levels of support, but fundamentally, it's only you who can breastfeed. It's only you who has a scar, right? It's only you whose body has changed.
Yeah.
I can try to be the most perfect
Yeah. Yeah.
husband.
Yeah.
I can try to make sure you have a nanny.
Yeah.
Your mother and your mom and your mom-in-law can come and help you.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's a traumatic experience.
It is.
And
But
it's not so maybe this is where I want to ask you is i- if it is that experience that is almost superhuman. I've seen when I see my wife going through that, I look at her and I remove my hat.
Yeah.
Because I always tell her that, if it was men, if it were men who were giving birth, we'd give birth once and we'd never do it again. The human race would end, because not only would I never give birth to a second child, I would tell all my friends,
yeah.
that's my guys, this is crazy, please don't do this. So women, the whole process is difficult.
Yes. But I have a very quick answer. This is the question is asked by even men, and they made it like a prejudice or something like. The answer is women do not want you have a wound. They do not want man to give birth. They only need your good words.
Good words.
Yes, I can repeat. They need only your good words.
I love you, I care about you,
I
I'm proud of you,
I am here for you.
I'm here for you.
I love you. I will never quit you. I know what you are passing through. That's it.
That's it.
Nothing else. And this is very, very much comforting. Do you remember why your wife loved you? It's not because, yes, maybe probably, it's not because you are rich, but most probably,
'Cause I talked to her
because
nicely.
you talked to her nicely. And this is what I want. So
So
if
it's
you
easy
do
as
it,
that.
it's just easy as that. And it's become complicated to many men. But if you are there, you say, good, I know what you are going through. I will support you, and you support her, of course. As I told you, if you have to be empathetic, again, another thing, to be empathetic means put yourself in the shoes of others. Imagine such types of sufferings and try to help as much as you can. But the very, very nice thing women want is good words, is nice words.
Why don't more men know that? Is it because you've said something that I guess men know to be true, because that's how we get our girlfriends and wives.
Yeah.
But something changes.
Something changes when you got what you want. We never talk the good things. At many apartments, building homes, man even has his own chair, and they don't talk. They are there. They need to give the orders, so they are the boss. When you are dating, you are a slave.
Yes.
When you
get married,
you are the boss.
Oh my
You
goodness.
can imagine the situation from slave to boss. You want it to compensate. It's like you want to compensate what you lost when you were a slave. And then when you are boss, they have to pay and know who you are. And you are a man. You have to remember, huh?
Jeez.
A man should be respected. Yeah, so you can do to
No
show.
jokes.
No.
my
No,
goodness.
here there is no jokes when you are at home and in your own house. Yeah, and you have all power.
No, I read somewhere, I think it was in a New Times article,
Yeah.
where you're talking about how relationship disappointment syndrome
Yeah.
can even lead people to lose the power of speech.
Yes.
Is that actually true? That
It's
what
true.
what happened?
There is a proverb in Kinyarwanda which says, "Hataka nyir'ubukozwemo." That means the person who suffer is the person who still have a power to suffer. But when you have been beaten for so long, you at a certain point get exhausted and you feel like you are made to suffer. And then you do not have any words to talk about your sufferings. In addition, who, in our culture, talking about your marriage, it's something unusual.
It's taboo.
It's taboo. And then you think, for example, you are a very young couple. After 6 months, you are disappointed. They beat you even. And you say, how can I communicate such bad news? They know a handsome like you. And at outside,
They know you as this.
you are a very nice guy. And how can I talk such kind of bad story that happened to me?
Who will believe me?
Who will believe me? To whom I will give my trust? So he will not disclose what I told. So this is why they keep quiet. For a long time, they are silent. And again, in Kinyarwanda, again, they say, hishamunda. You have to hide inside your stomach, inside your body, everything. You should not reveal what is going on if you want to survive, to sustain for so long. And people who get married, they want to sustain their marriage. They don't want to crash down their marriage. They want to sustain. So if they talked very early, this is maybe a problem. So they decide to stay quiet until they die inside.
Jesus. How do you treat that? Do you tell them to divorce? Is divorce the answer?
No, never been the answer. You can have a relationship disappointment syndrome even after divorce.
Oh my goodness.
But again, it might be an option. To me, as a psychotherapist, I don't advise. I make it an option that you can choose as a client, because psychotherapists are not made to make the choice, but to help people to have alternatives and choose. When there is a strong abuse, even physical abuse, at the level that the person can die, this we can have like an option, because you have to save life every time. But it's not even also, although it's an option, it's not a direct option. Because the first thing we do, we need to meet the patient to reestablish the self-worth, because most of the time they feel worthless. So we need to reestablish their self-worth and their sense of gratitude, just to help them to be grateful of even today's life and even of their achievement, because most of the time they come to us saying, we are nothing, and nobody's nothing, but it makes sense. But just to let them, to tell them, although you see this bottle is in middle half, but is in middle half to be full, not to be empty. So, and then after reestablishment of their worthy, we are lucky to redefine again their purpose of life. Because most of them, they define their purpose of life end up to marriage.
Yes.
You know, many people, even not men, even not women, every men people, they say, when you ask, what will you do? I will study primary, after primary, high school, after high school, university, after university, masters, probably. And after masters, job. And after job, marriage. And after marriage,
That's life.
that's life. So the purpose of life does not end by marriage. So we should define their own, we help them to define their reason of existence. The reason of existence does not stops on the marriage. Then after, when they find another way they can follow to understand I am able to do and to follow my dreams, we call upon the family members. Specifically, if it's a man, we call
The husband.
the husband. If it's a wife, we call the if another way around. If it's a wife, we call a husband. If it's a husband, we call a wife. Luckily, most of the time they came, but sometimes they don't. And if they came, we discuss each other. We talk to them. You know, you are killing your partner.
Killing.
Yeah, because they are dying. Can you please help? We know you do not have resources, but we are here to give you the resources that will help you to support each other, not one supporting at a higher level, another do not be supported. So in most of the time, we end up by finding a solution. You know what I find in men? They don't know what is going on. They don't find as a problem.
They don't think, they think, you know what, she's quiet and that's good for me because
that's
then
okay.
I can do what I want. She's not disturbing me.
Yeah.
It's a perfect home.
Yeah.
So you actually find that the men are surprised.
They are surprised. They are surprised. They say, oh, I did not think it's a problem at this level. If I should have known, I have to change even myself because I don't want to lose you. So this is why I ask if it's wife, please consult to your husband, or if it's husband, please consult to your wife and ask them, how do you rate my relationship to you? How do I support you?
I'm curious. You've said that very often the husbands who are brought in do not even know there's a problem because they think this is normal.
Yeah.
I'm interested in knowing the wives. So the husband is the one who's going through the matrimonial disappointment syndrome.
Yeah.
When the wife is called in,
Yeah.
how often do they behave?
I had one session with a wife, and the wife was saying, you know, you, my husband, you are like, what is the concept is used? No, Shobotse.
You're impossible.
You are impossible guy. I do whatever I have to do to you, but you are not thankful. So this is, I cannot take a decision with one case because I so far I have met with 4 cases with women. Another woman said to me, this is intolerable to understand that I was a part of the sufferings of my husband. And she cried for more than an hour. Like, this should not be. I could not. And she asked us, please do not reveal to anybody that I was the cause and the risk factors of this problem of my husband, and I will change. Another one said, unfortunately, it's not a problem. If she wanted to divorce, I'm ready.
If he wants to divorce, I'm ready.
Yeah. So it's a difference. Depends of the person to another.
And now it's interesting. Now, the next question that I'd like to talk about is something that in the statistics show affects men more than women and as a mental health outcome, and that is suicide. In Rwanda today,
Yeah.
more men are more likely to attempt
Suicide.
suicide
Yeah.
than women. Why is that the case? And even more important to their loved ones, what are the signs that someone is starting to have suicidal ideations so that we can support them before the tragedy happens?
Yes, this is a good question. First, why men than women? Because of different factors, but cultural is much more important in this level of suicide, according to me. Because men do not want to tolerate sufferings. They do not want it to be ashamed. If I wanted to achieve something and I do not achieve it, I fail.
Wait, so you're saying, because you've just said, and I want us to really examine that.
Yeah.
Men do not want to tolerate suffering because everyone suffers.
Yeah.
Women suffer,
Yeah.
men suffer.
Yeah.
Are you saying that there's something intrinsically masculine about the fact that men say suffering? No.
For them, they don't want it. Yeah, I will say for men, sufferance is something which should have a starting and an end.
Is it because women think that suffering is normal?
Yes. Culturally, for them, they think because of women have been vulnerable for so long time
And in pain?
and in pain, and their life also is in pain. Even the physiological life
Yeah.
is in pain.
Yeah.
But for men, sufferance should have a starting point and an ending point. If there is a continuation of sufferance,
I don't want to be here.
and again, you have to know suicide is a decision. And it's a very big decision. And it's made by men, if we can use this concept. Because people who wanted to end up their lives, they do not have any other alternative.
They sometimes say that suicide is a cowardly option.
Suicide, for people who want to commit suicide, is the only option they have. For them, there is no other good. I can say best. There is no other best solution than to die. This is why suicide is hard. And to help them, it's to try to show other 1, 2, 3
Options.
If you fail in a therapy or in a conversation, to show them option, nothing will happen. They will commit suicide. So if you have a friend and you think he or she might have suicide ideations, or she tried to commit suicide, that means for the person, their way is finished.
Is there symptoms of it so that because you're talking about, if someone is talking to you,
Yeah.
what happens if we're not having a conversation and you tell me you're having these ideas? Are there things that I can see and identify?
Normally, nobody can commit suicide before alarming signs, like isolation, like cutting communication to the friends, like missing in a very interested event that he or she was used to attend.
So church, weddings,
Churches, weddings,
family
yeah,
engagements.
yeah. And then when people, there is another thing, the word called busy for so long time. I am busy. You try to contact the person.
I am busy.
I am busy. I am busy. I am busy. Yeah. The person is busy with suicide ideation. Is probably busy with suicide ideation. So these are the some very signs you can see. If you have a friend, you do not see the friends in the very in the events, and when you try to contact the person, cut the communication. He do not want to communicate with you, do not want to talk to anybody. So you have to be cautious about suicidal ideations. And again, when a person is suffering from suicide ideation, the thing is the person is lacking surrounding support. This is a crime. He made a crime. Many people, when they are committing suicide, they beforehand write a letter. Goodbye, life. I tried everything. People in this world never been kind of me. So I tried all the opportunity and I failed. I find no way and goodbye life. So if we should have had the very big eyes to look to our colleagues, this is the time to save the person. Because when a person is crying inside, when a person is changing behavior, when a person is not looking for support, because we are used to support a person who looks for support. But be cautious. If a person is not looking for support, this is where you need to support. You guess the person has a problem, but then you do not support. At the end, you will find the person dead.
It's funny, in some of I don't know if it's here in Rwanda. I don't think so. In certain African countries, attempting suicide is a crime.
Yes, yeah. I was in Nairobi. It's tribe which is called Luir. If you commit suicide, nobody's allowed to bury you. Only a few leaders of the tribe come, and they beat you seriously. This was used also in Rwanda in previous years, but now it's not the case. So they beat you seriously just to beat the bad spirit.
They beat your body.
Yeah, they beat your body because they do not want this kind of bad spirit to spread in entire community. And it's kind of nobody is allowed to come to your burial ceremony, and this is also bad because of also here in Rwanda, when you commit suicide and you are Christian, there is no mess.
Yes,
because you made
the ultimate
crime.
sin.
Yeah, it's a sin, and you will not go in the heaven. So why do we need to come to bury you? Because we bury people who will go to heaven.
Jeez.
Yeah.
One of the biggest challenges I think we are starting to talk about in our society is alcoholism and substance abuse, especially in young people.
Yeah.
It's becoming such an issue, to be honest, that maybe a couple of years ago, the government, the Ministry of Health, started the Tunywe Less campaign, Let's Drink Less. As a psychotherapist, what has been your experience with issues around substance abuse? What, if I can, what is the cause, like the real underlying cause of this substance abuse pandemic in Rwanda, especially among young people?
Yes. Using drugs. Why do people use drugs? Because they want happiness. They want at least they want internal happiness for a while, or they want to escape for something, or there is a gap, a hole inside they want to fulfill. So what is that hole? What is that gap? What is that sufferance? This is what you have to imagine. The hole might be family conflict.
My parents don't love me.
Yeah. The hole might be child abuse.
My parents beat me.
A lot. And when they come, I heard a client, a young guy, and his parents were afande.
He was a soldier.
Yes, but
Senior officer.
Senior officer. And then he told me, I do not have a father. And I said, why? He said, because I have afande. So which means afande, a senior officer is a senior officer at work and in front of the parents, no, the children.
The child.
So, and I asked why? Because he used to beat me for like I am on military course. So as a way to escape, this is why I started to use drug. This is one example. I was explaining what is this sufferance, what is this gap, and what is this kind of avoidance. This is why people who are young are using drugs. Others, when they finish, when they finish their schools, I used to say every time, they are at the end of their studies, they do not have sufficient knowledge to compete outside. And then when they are looking for a job, they say, there is the job of that nowadays is a connection or something else. But they do not think about themselves, the problem of themselves of not having enough capacity to compete. So afterwards, they do not have job. And then when they have money, they do not have a job. They want to escape for these types of failure, and they use drugs. So another thing is pain. I have a traumatic pain. I have a disappointment with nowadays young people. They are in a relationship, but a very unserious relationship. I talk to many young people, they told me, I have been in a relationship with 10 partners. But all those guys were bad guys. They even mistreat me. Someone told me, even my ex-boyfriend beat me. So now I think, and at home I have been beaten, and my ex-boyfriend used to beat me. I have no job, and I have what I carry from all along the way of my life. So a very good answer is,
I'll drink something, I'll smoke something, I will inject something.
We cannot forget peer pressure, because around we have to vibe. It means hagomba gusha. It should be.
It's hot.
It should be hot.
Party after party.
Yes, party after party, and this is a very big issue, because peer pressure is coming when there is no brain, the functionality of the brain for the competition, for the definition of meaning of life and definition of purpose of life, or what I want to achieve is lost. So then you go in peer pressure groups. I used to say that when there is two possibility of working, you work using your intelligence, your brain, or you work using your physical body, or you use both. If you do not have something in your brain, the only option which is remaining is your physical body. This is why you can see the young people in drug and in prostitution. Because for them, for example, women to have some money, they should have used their body because their brain is not functional to compete, to find a way to hustle. So it's not easy for young people when they still have this kind of sufferance, this type of gap, this type of missing something. They have to go all along the way with the drug abuse.
You know, when I was much younger, maybe about 18 years old,
Yeah.
and I remember how alcohol was perceived among men.
Yes.
Because there's the peer pressure, but I also think there's the masculinity, what they call the toxic masculinity
Yeah.
around alcohol. And I remember that to be a real man, you had to drink a lot,
Yeah.
but you were not supposed to get drunk,
Yeah.
right? So to be and this is, I'm thinking I'm in senior 4, maybe 18, I'd be drinking waraji. Right, so I studied in Uganda where they had the crude
Yeah.
waraji. You'd buy
Yeah.
it in jerry cans of 5 liters. So now imagine 5 liters of kanyanga,
Yeah.
right? And your 4 boys. So literally all of us had to drink about a liter of kanyanga
Yeah.
and still not be staggering. Because as soon as you staggered, you are no longer a man. And imagine, I'm very thankful that maybe in my genes, I never had that alcoholism. But when you're talking about, peer pressure, but I think that even as men, there is something else that is even more than peer pressure.
I would not say it is, because now women nowadays are drinkers than men. Yes, the young girls nowadays are very, very much, they drink,
And it's not masculinity.
and this is not masculinity. And again, as far as I know, there is a change of perceptions about alcohol and masculinity. They do not think, there is no such perception. Even in Rwanda, it was such perception a man should drink. But now, no, I think many people, generally in young, they drink just for having fun. They drink just to confirm themselves. They drink just to show that they are also,
They are signaling.
they drink just because they do not have something else to do, or they are escaping for something. But most of them, they know what they are doing, or they do not know how to overcome. They know why.
They know that it's not good.
Yes. Most of them, if you ask, they told me, I know it's not good, but I don't know how to overcome the cause of this. And the cause, there is what is called historical trauma, as I told you. It happens even in indigenous America. After the settlement of Western people, they killed every person. And then this kind of trauma have been transmitted through along way the generation. Now, even those who are still existing, they do prostitutions, they do crimes, they drink a lot, they are like partial generations. So when you have been experienced for so long traumatic experiences, one of the consequences is this: drinking a lot. There is one of the symptoms which is triggering is the exhaustion.
Tiredness.
Yeah, tiredness, powerlessness, hedonism, like what I have to eat everything today because
I have to eat life.
Yes, I have to eat less because who knows tomorrow? And this is exhaustion. This is very bad. I can tell you that there is another things which is hidden. We do not have, for example, in Kigali beggars. But you know how many young people are beggars? But this is not known. Because last time I was in bar with my friends and I have seen some young people. They were in a table drinking, and they did a meeting. They drank. Then after their money have finished, and they did a meeting of how they need to call and everybody to ask for money, exposing real problems, and then get the money for drinking. And this is begging. This is one way of begging. Another way of begging, now, how many people have, for example, a smartphone? You see a young girl with a smartphone of 1,000,026. Who give that smartphone?
Sugar daddy.
And this is begging. Because they do not have a capacity to do themselves. They are beggars. They are professional beggars. But they continue to do that. This is cause of exhaustion. Exhaustion caused loss of the capacity of individuals to cope positively with the current situations. And then they have another negative way, inappropriate way of coping, which pushes them in this drug abuse and this begging, hidden begging, and waste of resources. You can see everywhere. I tried to cross around. People said, in Kigali, life is very expensive. There is poverty. There is a higher level of prices. But try to cross around in the bars and the hotels.
The bohos and all those places.
Yes, try and see. You will find how there is kind of double bind communication, double bind message. Like you said, higher price, but you use a lot of money.
You're saying that you're poor, or
Yes.
but then you're the same person
To waste the
who's
money.
buying bottles.
You can see how is a higher level of celebrations. There is a lot of celebration. Baby shower, mommy shower, birthdays,
new job.
good job.
Everyone is celebrating.
Everyone and every day.
They can celebrate from Monday to Monday.
And this is a type of exhaustion. If we have to work and we are always in celebration, when do we work?
Do you think that is maybe
Generally,
a
we celebrate work.
Yes, but do you think that over celebration?
Yeah,
Because the celebration is not bad.
it's good.
Birthdays are not bad.
No.
Celebrating life. You've got a new job. You got a new degree. It's good to celebrate. I think it brings, communities together. But what you've talked about is almost hedonistic celebration.
Yeah.
Is it another form of or manifestation of our national depression?
I would say yes to me, that if a person is using, because it's found in other communities which have passed through the similar experiences. When you said you have all resources today, but you say we should enjoy life like today, because we do not you do not plan for tomorrow. This is really a sign of traumatic experiences. And if somebody who will even follow, you see, you have such kind of wasting money.
No, they don't save money. They don't.
You don't save money. If you have money, the only idea which comes in your mind is to waste,
to spend it.
to spend. You have to be sure that there is something you need to look for help. Why people are hedonistic? Because most of the time, what we discussed with them, you were rich during the genocide, for example. But one day, all those things
We're gone.
So if you have things today, why don't you enjoy? Because who knows? I was in a conference, and we were discussing about the progress, about the resilience of our country. But one participant said, and when I asked it, they told me this kind of perceptions, feeling is shared. She said, she's like 45 years old woman, and she said, yeah, I am optimistic. I am happy that now we are secure, we have everything, we are learning life. But in the same time, I am worried because we are having good children, beautiful girls, handsome boys, very productive communities, which looks similar to what were in 1994. So this is a concept I use, like optim gloom. In one way, you are optimistic.
And then the other way,
Another way,
you're gloomy.
you are gloomy, which means you do not know. Who knows? And this is why some people with this perception of optim gloom, they might have spending at least today. They see their children, for example, your salary is 1 million, but you put your child to a school of 2 millions. Just, who knows? You try to use your resources by today, because at a certain time you lost. At least you can lost, but you used it. Yeah.
What do you think is the correlation between the increased use of social media apps like TikTok and Instagram and youth depression in Rwanda?
I don't know, because I don't have any research about it, but what I can give, this is opinion. When you feel no support, when you feel rejected, at least you can look for another platform which can help you, and this is the social media.
It's almost like the new coping mechanism.
It's a new coping-
instead of alcohol or drugs, it's
Yeah.
looking at photos, it's
Yes.
looking at videos, and
Social media can be also addictive. Because I have a client now who is addicted to the phone.
what do you mean?
If you are, so many people in the restaurant, they are on the call, they are also eating, which means they do not have time to eat. And when they are at bed, they sleep with the phone until the phone fell down.
They're watching TikTok.
And when they wake up, the first thing to do is to pick up the phone. And when they are at work, please go and verify. You will see WhatsApp, TikTok, Instagram, everything.
So, but is that an addiction? Maybe it's an addiction. Is it harmful? Because when people come to you, they're usually looking for treatment.
Yes, it's harmful. For example, that client, she came because she had lost concentration. And I don't want to say the profession, but she look after the people. And then she was confused at a certain time. You are, for example, you are a medical doctor, and you are doing consultations. And when you are consulting a patient, at a certain time, you also look to TikTok or to Instagram, you can see. And then the concentration really dropped down. The concentration dropped down because you see here, as we talk, we are reflecting. And every person need his or her time to reflect, to organize, to plan. That means time to be you. And if you have a phone, you will never be you. For your time, no.
If you have a phone, you'll never be you.
Because the phone gives the information which is not made in you. It's information outside of you.
You're consuming other people's thoughts and feelings.
Yes. This is good. We need to learn from others. We need to consult social media. This is good. But you need also your time. For example, to eat and to enjoy food. Please enjoy food and put the phone aside. Please enjoy family time.
Enjoy your children.
Enjoy your children. Please enjoy celebration in a church if you go there. So give everything in a time. And in addition, there is also effect of screen. The use of screen have an effect if you use for so long. With also a short distance, with the size. You know, the phone size is small.
No, I won't lie to you. The other week, I had to go to the doctor, the eye doctors, because I had started having light sensitivity.
Yeah.
And the doctors, they asked me, how often are you on your phone? How often are you on the computer? And then when I thought about it, out of 24 hours in a day, I'm either out of those hours, 24, maybe I sleep 6, then the rest of the day, I'm on my phone, I'm on my laptop, or I'm watching TV.
Yeah.
So maybe easily 18 hours.
Yeah. And what do you do? Because creativity, innovation comes out of thoughts, thinking. And you cannot create, you cannot innovate if you do not have your own time. And the own time it does not need to be too long, because you can be busy with even in yourself. If you are always on your this laptop, iPad, phone, and then after you go to the TV, this is a life of others only. Yes, you should go there to learn, to entertain, because we have to entertain as well, and to go to look for the entertainment and to laugh, and we need that. It's not bad, but at a certain level, you need also to go and see what you innovate. Our young people, so few people will innovate. No, they will never. It's very hard to discover, because they always have to look to other people's thoughts, activities, discovery. And sometimes they are not learning from discovery. They are only following discoveries.
I'd like to ask you one question before we go.
Yeah.
You obviously do a lot of research in our community. You talk to a lot of people. You also observe.
Yeah.
You've seen all the things that have happened. You're of a certain age, so you've also seen the trauma. You've seen the rebuild of the country, but you're now also seeing different things manifest in this new society that we're creating.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you, when you look 10, 15 years down the line, how do you think this society will become? What do you think this society will become? Because looking backwards, as we said, we started everything saying we are a traumatized society.
Yeah.
Now, let's now look 15 years down the line. Has our trauma ended?
No, unfortunately. So, but I will respond in two ways. One way is the recent research we conducted by assessing the main post-traumatic symptoms. We find that 52.8% of people does not have a significant symptoms, which means this is a good news. It's not always a traumatized. We have like more than 50%, which does not have significant symptoms. But again, when we compare the prevalences of those disorders in Rwanda and the other countries, this is very huge. Let's compare, for example, Switzerland, the country I live. The PTSD, the post-traumatic stress disorder, ihungabana, is on 1%.
1%.
For us, it's on 30%.
Jesus.
This is very huge. If we compare generally for worldwide, the PTSD level is ranging from 1 to 8%. For us, it is 30%.
And in one generation, in 15 years,
Yes,
that's not going to change.
it can change, but it needs tough strategies. What are those tough strategies? It's first people who are suffering, they should start to look for help to prevent for their trauma to the next generation. This is one thing. The second thing, the model of treatment in Rwanda and even in the other East African country should be top down.
What does that mean?
That means the people who provide therapies, they are also suffering. The readers are suffering. The opinion readers are suffering.
So the politicians, the security services,
Yes.
the clergy, everyone is suffering.
So I will say we need to treat from top. And then the top, as they lead, they will lead the healing of down, of community. But I think now it's in another way around. All NGOs, non-governmental organizations, when they go to help communities, they go down in very people, in serious villages. But who go there is the person who need the help. So I think we can do top, down, and bottom, top.
So other than, for example, checking government officials for high blood pressure, and there should also be mental assessments.
There should also mental health assessment. There should also mental health follow-ups. And why not supervision group sessions of like if somebody is going to be in public services, at least we are sure
That this person is not
this person is
depressed.
Yes. is not having mental health problems because we work together. We know we are all Rwandese. We work together. We have all problems. Go to any institutions. They will say, we all have problems. And then when those problems will end, this is the third. The third is parenting. Because when we do not have skills, capacity of parenting, then we lost our parents. The fourth is to strengthen education. So people who are in education, they have sufficient knowledge to fight, to cope in a positive way. So if all those measures and other measures that I am not citing are put together, we are going to stop the cycle of transmission, and we are going to prevent for new cases, and we are going to heal. So this is possible not within 15 years to stop, but at least within 50 years to stop. If not, the possibility to the continuation is possible, and also to the increase is possible. But hopefully, because there is also very good programs of mental health which is now being implemented, and hopefully other will follow. So there is a hope in the future that changes can happen.
I'm really happy that you ended on a positive note, because I was starting to be scared and thinking, oh my goodness, is this, there's that word in Kinyarwanda, karand, that it's going to be
intergenerational,
that it never ends.
Never
But
ends.
what I'm really happy that Dr. Celestin, you've ended this on a positive note. You've ended it by saying that bad mental health, pain, trauma is a thing of the past, but it does not have to be transmitted to our children. It does not have to be our nation's makeup.
Yeah.
So
Another thing is, another good news is, although we are talking about trauma, it's because this is what we are discussing for. But if you can change to another dialogue of post-traumatic growth, of resilience, we can also find the signs of resilience. Recently, there is a paper, it will be published. I found that we are not only transmitting trauma,
we're also
we
transmitting.
are also transmitting resilience. So this is a very promising findings that we can build on.
As Rwanda,
As Rwandans.
we're also
transmitting resilience, and we are transmitting also something very higher than resilience, post-traumatic growth. That means we are not only at initial stage where we were before the trauma, but we go beyond. This is why you see the development around. This is where we see Rwandese in every country, and they have a higher position, they lead.
They do well.
This is why they perform well, as I do. I am at the University of Zurich. This is why you see academicians and journalists like you. We are trying all to find a solution. We are not really.
We're not dying.
We are not dying. There are so many people who are not dying, who are looking. This is why we are using much effort, energy. We do not sleep. We want to serve our community. And this should be kind of flag now, not be sleeping in a depression. And this is the message also to young people. Just wake up. Don't sleep. There is problems, and there will be problems, but don't be a slave of problems. Just let's fight together, not by thinking on problems, but on thinking on solutions. And if we are many people thinking on solutions, of course we will have many solutions. But if we sleep in problems, of course we will have problems. But there is so many people, 30% of the people who are not sleeping to find for solutions. And of course, That would be a good solution. But the effort should be made. You should not sleep.
The biggest, my biggest takeaway from this, Dr. Celestin, do not be a slave to problems.
No.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I hope you enjoyed your time here at the long form. It was a huge honor to have a scientist such as yourself to come and talk to us. And I want to thank you for the work that you do in healing people. Maybe before you go, where can people find you? How can people find you if they listen to this conversation and think, Doctor, I need help, and I want to talk to you?
Yes. Thank you very much. I enjoyed really to stay here in long form podcast. It's really nice, and we have a nice talk. And if people want to, I have an organization that I founded with this objective of also helping my community, not only my community, but in Kinyarwanda they say ujya gutera uburezi arabwibanza. The person who want to help. When you want to help people, you start by
helping yourself.
So this is why I have Baho Smile Institute. This is an organization which do research and provide psychotherapy. We works online. We have all platforms, YouTube. We have YouTube actually that helps the people to do awareness. If you want to know how to overcome some problems, this is a way you can visit our platforms. We provide every day. I provide every day kind of flyer, a poster, which is provide a message of what to do in trauma healing, in parenting, in romantic relationship, in management of depression symptoms, and it's close around. And we have also group WhatsApp now that I created communities where people can exchange. And if they have problems, we can respond directly. And if the joining is free, and we can help those people.
What I'll do for those who are interested, I will, if they go to the description of this video, I will I'll create a link. There'll be a link of the Baho Smile Institute.
Yeah.
And people can reach out to you directly.
Yes.
Doctor, thank you so much for your time.
You are welcome. I enjoyed the time.
And that's a wrap for this week's episode. Thank you so much for sticking with us until the very end. I'd actually love to hear your thoughts on today's conversation. So drop a comment below and join the discussion. You can also join us on the social media of your choice. And if you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to share it with a friend and invite them to the conversation. I'll see you next time. Until then, take care.